Welcome once more for a new edition of the Phil Taylor Jones Show. Today we're going to be talking about what happened last night at the Democratic presidential debates. I'm Phil Taylor Jones, your host, and we're going to be talking about that good old subject right now. Well, yep, the old Democrats decided they would square off again for this, their last debate of the year. The stars were Bernie Sanders, being there together, and this Martin O'Malley guy who kind of makes my skin crawl. But the biggest skin crawler of all was none other than Slithery Clinton. Anyway, let me start off things by saying that for once, the debates were easy to find because they were done in a way that they should have been done and hopefully in the future will be done, and that's found on regular telly. We turned to Channel 7 and there it was. I mean, this is something that's very important to everyone in the nation, or maybe I'm being a little bit overblown here, to most people in the nation, and it should be easily accessible. You shouldn't have to go hunting all over the cable channels and the computers and what have you. Put it on national TV. That's where it should always be, so it can be easily accessed by all who are interested in it. So good on Channel 7 for doing that. The moderators weren't too annoying. The ones that actually did the debate, those yuckity yucks and muckety mucks that do the commentary beforehand, they're disgusting with your innuendo and their rhetoric and what have you. So try not to listen to them. But the actual two that did the moderating, they were fairly good. Starting off with Bernie Sanders, naturally that scandal was going to come up and be at the forefront of the glitch in the information, and Slithery Clinton's base or whatever, voter base, ended up in his the data or whatever, ended up in Bernie Sanders' office or group, and there was that kind of thing. Personally, I think it was a setup by Slithery to, take the wind out of his sails a little bit. But, I don't have any proof of that, but knowing Slithery Clinton as I do, I wouldn't put it past her. Anyway, after they got past that, Bernie went on with his usual thing about getting America back from the rich and the powerful and those crooks and creeps on Wall Street and what have you. I mean, it was kind of dull. It was Democratic, so it was dull. Then this Martin O'Malley guy, he tried to take a few digs in with Slithery and Bernie, with the scandal of the database screw up, and he tried to score a few points. So I mean, it was kind of dull. I don't care for Martin O'Malley at all. He looks like the kind of guy that you'd buy a used car from, and then he'd say, for $500 extra, do you want a motor to go in it? Or you shake hands with the guy and you end up counting your fingers to make sure you got them all. Very uninspiring. The little sparring they did was kind of dull and boring. I almost went to sleep on it, to tell you the truth. Let's talk now about Slithery Clinton. Well, what can you say about old Slithery? She was a little more slithery last night than she usually is, in as much as she seemingly finds everything to be a joke. She, when cornered, and I don't know if it's nervousness, because sometimes when people get nervous, they tend to try to smile it off or joke it off. But it's very irritating. My poor brother, the one who executively produces the show, poor guy almost had to go in the bathroom and toss his cookies.
Howling at the TV.
Oh, God. She's disgusting. In the words of Donald Trump, she's disgusting. And she really is. She obviously had to go to the bathroom, and they came back, because I guess it took her a little longer than the commercial break would allow. And, when he came back, she was missing in action. So then she crept back on the stage and, I'm sorry, or some nonsensical things. Excuse me. Well, why should you have to excuse yourself for doing a human function? People do have to go to the bathroom. Anyway.
Everybody laughed, and my reply was, that wasn't funny.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like a comedy of errors. Anyway, she tried to back her way out of her, friendship or kinship with the big boys on Wall Street. And, Bernie Sanders tried to hang her up on that, so did O'Malley. But that's why I call her Slithery Clinton, because she slithered her way out of that one. She came off trying to look presidential, trying to look powerful or substantial. Folks, I don't care too much for Snarly Fiorina on the Resluglican side, but I would kind of like to see a matchup between old Slithery and Snarly, and see which one could triumph in their bitchiness, shall we say. I think that Snarly might come out on top. I don't know, it's hard to tell. But in any event, they were all asked different questions about, things like the economy. Naturally, security came in there, Black Lives Matter and all that. And so I'll just try to touch on a few of these things individually real quickly. First of all, the thing of security, what got to me, and this is, I guess, a democratic thing, is Slithery was talking about Trump and how he is alienating the Muslim community, and we need them. First of all, that's bullcrap. We don't need them for anything. We're supposed to have the best and the greatest intel gatherers in the world, CIA, FBI, and any other that alphabet soup that you want to throw out there. We don't need muzzies to tell us anything. And if they were so good at telling us stuff, then why did 14 people end up dead in San Bernardino? Don't they have muzzies out there? Well, if they kind of had their little muzzy ears to the ground, then they should have told somebody something, to keep 14 from being brutally, heinously killed in San Bernardino. So that just blows a hole in Slithery and Bernie and O'Malley's theory about we need them. We don't need them for anything. What we need is for them to get the heck out of here. Now, she went on even further to say that if we alienated muzzies in their own land, then if we wanted to, if we wanted them to help us to get ISIS out of their own land, then we will have alienated them and they won't want to help us. That's bullcrap. Whether or not we alienate them or not, if they are earnest about getting ISIS out of their own country, they wouldn't care whether or not we alienated them. They would be, forthright in getting these bastards out of their country. So that's, she's just full of crap. Then they went on to talk about the economy and how that the Democrats don't want the citizens to even have a $15 raise, and how horrible that is. Don't they know that there are families out there that are sitting across the table they're crying because they can't make ends meet, that there's too much month left at the end of the money, and yada, yada, yada. And that's why we desperately need this $15 raise. Okay, let's pick apart this $15 raise for a minute. It may sound good to some people that might be making $8 or $9 or what have you, but based on today's economy, even if they were to raise the minimum wage to $15 right now, we'd still be at the poverty line, or maybe just a skosh above it. Would be more like $25 an hour. That may get you, where you might need to be. But they, the Democrats supposedly want to raise it. The Reslugglicans are against it. Now, how anybody could be against somebody getting a little more in their pot in these trying times is beyond me. But I happen to know that some of the Reslugglicans are against it. But here's my thing. You ever been on the street? I'm sure you have. Usually, if you go that way on the street, you'll see cars coming this way down the street. Even if it's a one-way street, you may have a one-way street on this side or this block, but if you go over to the next block, the traffic is coming the other way. So no matter where you are, if you're on a regular street, if you're on a freeway, wherever, if you got traffic going that way, you usually have traffic coming this way. So with that $15 thing, I say this. If you raise the $15 and make that the new minimum wage, cool. But that's only half stepping. You got to get to these greedy people wherever they are and have them bring prices down. Otherwise, it's not going to make it. You know, I'm thinking about greedy landlords, and they're some of the greediest bastards you ever want to see. Food producers in these grocery stores, it's ridiculous. Gas prices, insurance prices, even with the coveted bastard care, it's still ridiculous. They even touched on pharmaceuticals. To get medicine for whatever ails you is ridiculous. Those prices are just ludicrous. They ought to put the sticks to those bastards and say this: if you're going to charge these exorbitant prices for these medications, you won't sell them in the United States. Go somewhere else and sell your high-priced, pills. If you're going to raise the minimum wage to $15, or even if you don't want to raise the minimum wage to $15, you still need to bring these prices down. They claim they have these regulatory commissions and everything. What are they, asleep at the switch? Everything is darned expensive. And again, I say, your biggest destroyers of your budget are housing, transportation, food, and insurance or medical. You got to get to those four at least. Landlords and housing prices are ridiculous. I know some people, my brother and I know some people that live in a cracker box. I mean, there's not enough room in there to cuss a cat. You get a fur ball stuck in your throat. And they're charging them $1,000 or more. That's ludicrous. To get on a bus, now I don't know where it is in your neck of the woods. Well, excuse the sirens, are probably looking for muzzies. Or some other crooks out there that are probably foreigners. Anyway, I don't know how it is in your neck of the woods, but in Los Angeles, just to hop on a regular bus, inner city commuter bus, the bus passes are $100, just the regular ones. Maybe even a little more now. I haven't checked it recently. Well, it sure probably will be after the first of the year comes in. But right now it's about, well, it is at $100, maybe just a skosh more. For handicapped people, I think it's around 20. For students, maybe a little higher than that. But this is if you want to do the green thing, people. If you want to, be environmentally correct and just use public transportation, it's going to cost you. And we don't even want to discuss gas prices. They fluctuate like a, swing like a pendulum or go up and down like an elevator. So we don't want to talk about that. Have you been to the grocery store lately? You'll find that your dollar doesn't buy you as much as it used to. So all of these things contribute to what they are saying. Either they'll raise it, $15 is minimum, but if they do that, they need to stomp on these people and get them to lower these prices. That way, maybe something will kind of balance out. But right now, if they raise it $15, say you get a $15 minimum wage, then they'll go up on your rent $50. So it's like you're never catching up, So they need to do something about that. They also touched on what's going on in the law enforcement, just regular law enforcement, not the terrorist kind of thing, but I spoke about this Black Lives Matter business. Now, okay, I'm not one for Black Lives Matter, and I may be ostracized to Kingdom Come for it. When it first started, it may have been a good thing, or maybe their hearts were in the right place, but as Quint said in the movie Jaws to Hooper, that was played by Richard Dreyfuss, who trying to keep an eye on where the shark was. And he said, "Hooper, ain't you watching it?" So obviously the people that started this Black Lives Matter thing, they wasn't watching it, because now it has mushroomed into this thuggish, boisterous, all up in your face, kick your ass kind of thing that is totally disgraceful in a lot of their activities. One comes to mind with Bernie Sanders. He's up in the Washington area, Washington State, Seattle, I believe. And these two sleazebag females just took over the man's podium and taunted him and just totally disrupted the rally. And I will hand it to Bernie. He was a perfect gentleman. A lot of people criticize him. Oh, he's a pussy. He's a wimp. He punked out. No, he wasn't. He showed himself to be a gentleman. He didn't want to get down and be a gutter rat like those gutter snipes. So good on you, Bernie. At least you showed you were a gentleman. And, you know, they were just disgraceful. So I don't have much with Black Lives Matter, and you know, because they're not showing why they matter. They're showing, if anything, they don't matter. They talked about that and now how these police officers are now feeling what is known as a Ferguson syndrome. They don't want to exercise their legal prowess because they're feeling that there will be repercussions. Well, to tell you the truth, folks, I don't see that. You know, now I'm not saying this about every officer. There are some good officers out there, and good on your mates, because you're out there really protecting and serving. But for these creepy rogue ones that don't mind killing you, you know, just as soon as say good morning to you, the death tolls are rising, and you know the cops are getting killed too. But you know the cop killings are way, way under the civilian killings, and most of the civilian killings, from what we see on telly and read in the newspapers or you look at the internet, that black folk, you know, got a target on our heads. So, you know, I didn't agree with that, but what I will say, looking at some of what the Republicans were talking about, and some of the things Bernie Sanders was talking about too, that we need to come together as a community and as a law enforcement, a lot more community-based policing, so that you really have a stake in who you are protecting. And we need to do something about this penal system that we have here. Too many folks are being incarcerated for minor things. And, you know, we incarcerate more people in this country than actually live in some other countries. It's ludicrous. So we need to do a lot of reform on that. So they were talking about that stuff. And, you know, some of what they were saying was true. A lot of it was rhetoric and crap. Slithery Clinton is somebody that it still boggles my mind as to even why she is up there. It should be basically Sanders and O'Malley. She shouldn't be there. The woman is embroiled in scandal. Even as we speak, she's not scandal free. She has done heinous things, both she and her slick Willie husband. And to think that somebody would actually want her to be president. And here's the thing that really worries me about Slithery. In her speakings last night, they were asking something about, again, the minimum wage. And she went on to say that it's time for us to have a minimum wage so that women can have a prevailing wage to take care of their families. That amongst her travels, she spoke to many grandmothers who had their grandchildren, and they were the sole provider because their parents had been killed in an accident or what have you. And that we need to have this happen for women, and we need to have that happen for women, and women are at the forefront of her thing. Now, don't get me wrong. I have the utmost respect for women. I have always thought that if a woman holds a job and a guy holds a job, if they're doing the same job, they should get the same pay. Women are the ones who give us our children. So they should have time off with pay for having their kid. Fathers also should be given time off so that they can be there toeing the line for the family with that newborn kid. I've always felt that. But I am sick of these one-sided muckety-muck presidents catering to one group or to one side. I'm looking forward to having a president that takes care of all America. You look at what we got in there now in the disgusting form of Obastard. Who does he cater to who does he love, who does he want to see accelerate, and who does he want to see take over America? Muzzies. He's a card-carrying muzzy himself, and that's where he caters. He just put some judge, some woman judge, or some high-level muckety-muck. It sort of escapes me right now, but she's a muzzy. So he's one-sided. He's not for all America. He's just for muzzies. Okay, she gets in there, guys. I think we ain't gonna make it because she don't care nothing about us. You know, it's a girl thing. So us guys are going to be up the creek without a paddle. In fact, I don't even think we're going to have a boat. So she concerns me, you know, because everything comes out of her mouth is women. Most of my voter base are women. You know, so Slithery, I don't trust you. So like I said, the Democratic presidential debates were dull and boring and creepy. But here's the thing. When they went to ask everybody to do their closing statements, Bernie Sanders made his little statement, and I felt he was, you know, honest and true together. Then this O'Malley character, he said something, who cares? But Slithery, oh boy, shows she's really in the know. Because after she gave her illustrious closing statements, she told the audience, both physical and telly, may the force be with you. Come on. How corny is that? Just because the new Star Wars picture is out. Just supposing that Harry Potter was still going on, would she have then said, Wingardium Leviosa, or Republicans, stupefy? I mean, come on. How corny can you get? And then the moderator then, oh, that was very clever what she said, that may the force be with us.
Lame.
God, lame's lame.
As I've said, the most lamest ending sentence ever in the history of any presidential hopefuls in history of the United States.
Come on. Anyway, like no jerks or jerkettes. Anyway, that's our spin on the Democratic presidential debates, and I guess we'll really be gearing up for next year when they come on full force before Super Tuesday and all that good stuff comes about. Okay, folks, here we are. There's only 5 more days. Oh no. Well, yeah, there's today, and then 4 next week to get all your Christmas shenanigans going on. How many of you are ready? I am. I'm all done. Well, done with the present shopping. Of course, my list is very short, so that helps out. But anyway, we still got to go out and get some Christmas yum-yums tomorrow, but by tomorrow we'll have it all wrapped up for everything, because as the time grows nearer, the people get more crazy, and you'll come away feeling like the girdle at a bargain sale. You know, you pulling this way and pulling that way. So anyway, hopefully you'll go out there and get your stuff all finished and have a happy time doing it. Unless something really breaks, we will be back with our Christmas special next week. And until then, you take care and stay safe, because we want to see you right back here again on the Phil Taylor Jones Show. And we want you to be, creeping around out there forever. So be safe, because remember, there are evil forces about, and we don't know where they are. So stay safe now and take care. Bye-bye.